As far as the weighted balls go, we published a study last year looking at the biomechanics of what happens when you throw these different weighted balls. We had three hypotheses. One was, as the ball mass went down, the lighter the ball, the faster the ball velocity. The lighter the ball, the faster the arm and the trunk would be moving. And also, when the ball is heavier, the forces and torques on the elbow and shoulder would be greater because the ball is heavier. So we had 25 high school and college pitchers came to our lab for biomechanical testing, and they were all experienced or had been using a weighted baseball training program. And they threw 6 balls. Well, they used 6 balls. The 4, 5, 6, 7 ounce balls they threw. This was supposed to be a 1 pound and 2 pound ball, but when we weighed it, the 1 pound ball was actually 14 ounces, so that's what it was. And what they did was they took the 4, 5, 6, 7 ounce balls and in random order, they were pitching from the mound with those balls. We also had them run up and throw in flat ground with the different balls. And then with the heavy balls, they did hold exercises. I'll show you what that is in a second. And these are the type of drills that are in a lot of these common velocity training programs. Just to show you what it looks like in super high-speed video, here's a pitcher pitching from a standard baseball from a mound. So we're going to quantify his biomechanics doing that. And this is what it looks like on flat ground. You run up, and you can see in general the mechanics are the same, but again with the motion analysis we could quantify and see if there are specific differences. And with the 1 and 2 pound balls, 14 32 ounce balls actually, they did a hold, and you can see the hold, you don't run up, you just start as if you're on a pitching mound, but it's flat ground. You're holding the big heavy ball, and then you do the throwing motion, but you do not let go of the ball. It's kind of a rubbery ball. Well, it is a rubbery ball, and you hold on to it as you can see here. So that was done with all the motion analysis markers, and we quantified all these variables when they did it. And the results from that study, again published last year, were as follows. If you look at just the body, there was really no differences or minimal differences in the pitching mechanics of the body between whether it was a 4, 5, 6, or 7 ounce baseball. But there were differences in the trunk and leg motions between pitching and running up on the flat ground. And also, there were significant differences in all the mechanics between the standard balls and the heavy balls. You might have even been able to see that in the video. With the heavy ball, the 1 and 2 pound ball, even though they're trying to do pitching mechanics, it looks a little different, and sure enough, it quantified as quite different. Now, as far as the hypotheses that we wanted to test with that study, as expected, when the ball mass went down, the ball velocity went up. As hypothesized, when the ball mass went down, the arm and trunk velocities went up. However, as ball mass got heavier, the arm forces and torques actually went down. Again, if you hold a ball that's heavier, you think, well, I got to do more force to throw this heavier ball. But it actually turned out the opposite way. And how could that be? That the ball is heavier, how could it take less force or torque to throw it? Well, it has to do with this equation Isaac Newton came up with, force equals mass times acceleration. And sure enough, the heavier balls did have heavier mass by definition. But what we measured, the heavier ball, while it had a little heavier mass, it had a lot less acceleration of your arm. Your arm accelerated a lot less. And when you multiplied the mass times acceleration, a ball that's a little heavier, but with a lot less acceleration, ended up being less force. So again, throwing a heavier ball does not have a higher peak force than throwing a lighter ball. So the conclusion from that biomechanical study was that the 4, 5, 6, and 7 ounce baseballs pitching from a mound and flat ground do seem like reasonable variations on pitching and would be reasonable to use in a training program. Less than 4 ounces, I believe, would be too stressful, and that's why we didn't even use them in this study, because just like the heavier the ball, the less the force, the lighter the ball, you might get a really spiky force. And if anyone's thrown a wiffle ball or tennis ball as hard as you can throw, many throws, you start to get some pain on your elbow and shoulder. So we really did not want to use the 2 and 3 ounce balls that they sell in the program, and I would recommend that they might be dangerous. The 1 and 2 pound balls, I don't think they're dangerous, but I'm not really sure what they add. The mechanics are different, and the forces are different in general, and the velocities are lower. The one force that was higher actually was the elbow flexion torque, because you didn't let go of the ball, so you actually have to do more biceps, more flexion torque with those throws. But I'm not really sure how much that adds to the program. I think it's really about this.